Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jade Monkey. We're back here in DayZ 1.11 experimental. Oh boy, here they come. Oh boy, I made too much noise. And we're talking about when this will be coming to a live branch for all platforms: PlayStation, PC, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S. Um, so yeah, quick note, just to kind of throw it out there. Just because experimental's out on Xbox and PC doesn't mean that it's not coming for PlayStation. It most definitely is. These are just test beds for the changes as they come through to make sure they're stable for console. The only reason why you don't see this in an experimental state on PlayStation is Sony doesn't have an official program for that, at least not yet. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they do that, because it only helps us over on the console to make a better experience. But for the most part, there are some small subtle differences between the PlayStation and Xbox version, but as in its entirety, they're virtually the same thing. So yeah. Anyways, so just because you see it on Xbox and PC right now doesn't mean it's not coming for you guys. It most definitely is. So experimental kind of sits here for usually a few weeks. Once they add some changes, then it goes over to certification, and then it rolls out for everybody. So just to keep you informed. Okay, another thing real quick. I know a lot of people have come to me and said they're talking about PlayStation being capped at 30 frames. Just know that the next gens, the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5, are running in backwards compatibility. And in most cases, they are capped at 60 frames. Can those systems do more than that? Yes. Can they handle this game? Absolutely. Now, I know PlayStation 5 is currently capped at a 30 frame for this game. It's a combination of, well, right now, because they're not making a variation, or there isn't a variation for the PlayStation and the Series X, you don't see an improvement past 60. I think one of the main reasons why PlayStation 5 is capped at 30 is they just need to dial in their backwards compatibility software. So I know recently, at least in late January to mid, we've gotten updates for both PlayStation 5 and the Series X to help with performance, although I have heard this is still capped at 30. Basically what I'm saying is, as those get better, you'll see those get better in performance. But, okay, so kind of rewind before we get to the time here. I know they were talking about on the Bohemian Interactive, they said just vaguely that there was going to be a specific version for the PlayStation 5 and the Series X that can help open up and use the software, or I'm sorry, use the hardware better with the software, and then all backwards. So we're looking forward to that. I don't suspect we'll see that until like mid to later this year, but who knows. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if you have the new system, you have the best experience right now on console for right now, and it will only get better is what I'm saying. So we've had a lot of questions and comments about that, so I thought I'd address it. Okay, so let's go on to the time estimate here. I really don't think it'll be too much longer. We are on the latter half of January 2021 right now. It has been out for, I want to say, roughly a week or so. Has it been out like a week? Dude, I'm so bad at aiming. I probably shouldn't have shot that, because there's going to be nothing but zombies in our ear. So yeah, I honestly think this will be released for everything here pretty soon, as we've seen some small iterative changes, and for the most part it is stable. We had one crash on the Series X, but as you know, DayZ kind of has its charm with the with the glitches and stuff, or sometimes the crashing. But for the most part, it seems stable, and a lot of things aren't really content additions. They're they're more bug fixes and whatnot. So yeah, I would suspect in a week or so, probably later half of January, early February, and I think the latest, unless they run into something, would be late February, but I really think it's around the corner for the most part. Okay, so that's the time estimate. So basically soon, in a week or so, latest a month. And okay, so let's roll over some of the new changes that didn't really get addressed in the patch notes, although they will be kind of a gotcha as you're out there in the world, because we do play on survival. We do play on we do play on official on Xbox Series X, which basically is you know, a PlayStation experience as well. So one of the things my chat pointed out, to repair things now, you'll have to place them on the ground and then repair them. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Didn't know that for a minute. I was like, why is my stuff not repairing? So keep an eye out for that. It looks like the food meter has increased even from 110, which is good. So topping it out the best you can. Another gotcha for players coming back, make sure when you're eating food, do it slowly. If it's a cooked piece of fat, eat half of it, wait till the chevrons go back to down, and then eat it again. If you eat too fast, you will chuck, and you'll lose resource in your healing abilities, because basically your meters have to be up enough for you to resist things like sickness and whatnot, cholera, etc. So keep that in mind. Let's see, some of the other stuff. I know we get a lot of questions about duping. As far as I know, the latest technique that I'm aware of, I believe, was patched for experimental, so that's good news. To kind of go back to that, I don't think, because the immediate question after that, is there a wipe? I support the wipe because I know official servers have kind of gotten hammered with all the junk, and it's affecting loot tables, as it were. Just know it's the dupers. It's not people necessarily making alternate accounts. Alternate account people that doesn't affect the loot tables as it stands. They pull away and then they come back to the server. It's the stuff that gets stashed and the stuff that's in the active population. Anyways, as far as we know, I don't think there's going to be a wipe. Typically, we'll see a wipe happen on the experimental servers, and we have not seen that this time. So what that means is we probably won't until they say otherwise. I wouldn't expect one. Let's just say that. Let's see some of the other stuff going on. I know there was a glitch where you could phase through walls using a glow stick. I'm not sure exactly what that technique is. I don't want anybody to share it. We're not about spreading that. Although when I do find out what it is, we'll be able to test it better. As far as I know, in the patch lists, it sounds like they've addressed that issue. So that's good. People will be able to use bases a little bit better now. But to go back to duping, finding weapons, and bases, this is kind of my thoughts on that real quick until we gotta go here. I don't want to make this too terribly long, but I know there's a lot of people coming back that have played previously and they've been waiting to kind of for things to settle because there's been some issues, you know. But I just lost my train of thought because I smoked that zombie. I heard another one. I probably shouldn't do this on the ground, huh? Probably not my best plan I've ever had. Okay, so with the duping and stuff, I tell people dupers are bad. Don't do it in the first place. It breaks games. It kills the fun. Here's what I tell people that are having a hard time finding things. I say go to high population areas with a lot of action. You don't even need a gun. You just go in there with something with high clappability, probably a shovel, so you can knock somebody out because that's just as good as smoking them, and then you can just loot them and bounce. Dupers are always terrible at the game. Here's what we do. We have alternate accounts that are, used through the family plan stuff and the Xbox, so you don't have to pay for anything extra. You've got the game once, and you can add as many accounts as you need to. Whenever I clap a duper in these high population areas, I just strip all their loot and I spread it out. And that's usually good enough for us. We still go to high tier areas to find loot, but for the most part, we find the best loot off of dupers because they're so bad at the game. So I would suggest doing that in the interim and then spreading out your loot. Also, because base building it still needs work for you to actually like sign out and save your loot there. I would take your best loot and stick it on alternate accounts. That way it's the safest. Bases are still a ton of fun. You've seen us do it live on stream quite a bit. But I wouldn't store your best stuff there by any means. Stashes, I would say alternates first. Stashes as a secondary, and overflow loot or action loot that you're using while you're online. Yeah, keep that around the base, but don't expect it to be there when you sign out and come back is what I'm saying. I'm just going to run away from the zombie because I'm scared. So, yeah, so anyways, we got this update coming in. It feels really good on the Series X. One of the things we are looking out for that we can only really test when it's in live branch. Dude, this guy is up my... One of the things we had to test for, if you're on a... this is worth noting because I know this has been an issue for a long time, and this comes from people that have played, still play on official servers on console for the longest time. I was on an Xbox One X. I'm now on a Series X, which the equivalent would be a PS4, and now a PS5. Driving is the best for the person that has the highest performing console. So if you have a driver, make sure they're doing that. But you still have to have skill in avoiding load zones. That's still a thing, because remember, it's running in backwards compatibility. But is the experience overall better? Oh, yeah. Solid state drives help that tremendously, but let's not kid ourselves. Cars are still extremely fickle. Here's the other thing we found out. Cars ran great for us on experimental, but when the servers are high population and have a lot of garbage on them, it's the server hardware and stuff that seems to be lacking because our client runs great, but the server can't keep up. So that's kind of an interesting thing that we saw. Like basically what I'm saying is in 1.10 we had great performance for the vehicle, even with mixed consoles and stuff for people in the car. But the problem was when we got onto official and the servers were absolutely bumping, we would saw performance hits, but it wasn't on the client. It was the server like having a hard time catching up. So I'd recommend, what I'm saying is I'd recommend if you're going to drive, use the person with a better console. And if it's peak hours, try to avoid driving. And as always, avoid the load zones. That's kind of always been a thing for us on console. So cars are still extremely worth it, but they are fickle, to say the least. You see us use them all the time, but yeah, they are what they are. So try to mule your loot and mitigate the damage by spreading it out a little bit, and that goes for the duping and stuff. So yeah, I hope the main duping has been addressed, and especially that phasing through walls, because that really breaks the game. So everything's looking like it's on track. And again, I think this is going to be in probably a handful of days. I'm saying 1 to 2 weeks, at worst a month, and we should see this bad boy out there, and we'll be on to the next thing. So it should be an exciting year for 2021 for DayZ. We're most excited for it. We love open world survival. It's also worth noting that we are playing a lot of Rust these days. We will be playing the beta over on console when that does hit. I get a lot of people that say, DayZ versus Rust. I was like, why do you have to pick? They're both good games. We'll still be playing both of them. So I know we'll be splitting our time between the two. Hey, but if you're into open world survival, it should be right up your alley. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry, we're still doing Xbox DayZ for right now. And it's also worth noting, whenever I can get my dirty little mittens on a PS5, which is probably for a while, I know we'll be getting that, and we'll be playing Rust on the PS5. We'll also be playing DayZ over there as well. So, I mean, that's all good news. So, anyways, this has been long enough. I've been rambling. So, be sure to leave a like if you found this useful, helpful. And hopefully we see you in the next live stream / video. And, yeah, deuces. Keep on surviving. Keep on surviving. That potato aim in full effect. Look at this. Nana? Nana? Oh, I actually, when I'm not trying, I hit it. I'm so bad. Oh, nope, she's crawling. I guess that didn't really count. Okay, for real. We'll see you later. Bye! I'm gonna go hide in a shed. This is standard operating procedure for me.